This is the Bluetti EB3A portable power station. So there are a few reasons why this is a good portable power supply. You get pure Cinewave 240 AC, USB-A, high power USB-C, 12 volt DC, and if that's not enough, there's even a charge pad on top of the device for wireless charging of your phone. Oh, and for those of you who love to monitor your devices, Bluetti also has a smart control app so you can monitor the power supply remotely. And one of the immediate benefits of this device is its integrated AC charger and solar charge controller. What that means is that you get to pull electricity out of this device pretty much any way you can think of while out there on the road, on a camping trip, or anywhere that you need a power supply. This thing is ridiculously portable and, in my opinion, good value. And if you need to support your digital nomad office while traveling, this power station will do what you need without costing too much. It's a piece of gear that I recently took with me on my road trip from Ottawa, Canada to San Miguel de Allende in central Mexico, and it definitely came in handy for me to set up in more remote locations after camping and be able to charge my phone, camera batteries, and even plug my laptop into it to back up files and do a little editing. As for using the EB3A to charge my devices, what I can say is that for the most part, it worked great. There were a couple points that I was not thrilled about, and I'll get to those in a moment. First, let's have a look at this thing. Clearly, Bluetti is sponsoring this video, and I want to tell you what that means. Before heading out on the road to Mexico, I received an email from the Bluetti team asking me if I would do a review video of the Bluetti EB3A portable power station. They offered to send me one of these devices to try out. In exchange, I was asked to create this video. There is no exchange of money. I am not getting paid for this review, but I do get to keep this device. And I think it's something that will continue to be useful as I continue to travel around North America and find myself in situations where I need portable power to charge my devices and get a bit of work done in remote locations. Bluetti is not telling me what to say in this video. My opinion is my own. To help with this review, for anyone who wants to know more information about the EB3A, I'm providing a QR code on this video that you can pause the video at any time, scan the code, which will take you to the Bluetti website, and you can find out more information from their corporate site. Okay, so I'm definitely not an expert in batteries or portable power, so I'm going to stick to telling you about some of the features that I like and a bit of what I've recently learned about these types of devices. The first thing I should tell you guys is the price. So if you go to buy one of these devices, they're going to cost you about $500 Canadian. That's around 370 US dollars. At the time of making this video, they're actually on sale on Amazon for only $379 Canadian or 275 US dollars. I'll put a link in the description of where you can find one. Now, that might seem like an expensive purchase, and like everything, the value will ultimately come down to whether or not you need something like this and what the cost means to you for what the device offers. For me, the value comes from the ability to be able to charge my devices or work in remote places. You know, for years I've been going out into wilderness areas and doing multi-day backcountry canoe trips. And I've had to pack in dozens of extra camera batteries in order to keep the camera rolling. At times, I've packed in my laptop to do file transfers and backups, but I would never attempt to do any actual editing work without a portable power supply, like something like this. Now that I'm doing more and more long distance road trips and other camping trips that allow me to pack a few things, a power supply like this is really coming in handy. So what all this means is that I now have the option to stay off-grid longer because I can now keep my devices charged and even work in a remote place. In addition to being able to take a power supply with me to remote areas, I now have a small portable power supply at home for emergency use in case there's any power outage. It's just a little peace of mind that I can have stored away in a closet for emergency use. What I'm talking about is portability, and that's one of the things I like about this charging system. It's not big and bulky, and it does what it's meant to do. I'll get to my test in a moment, but as for size, and in this case, size does matter. The EB3A is only 10 inches wide by 7 inches deep and 7 inches high, and only weighs 10 pounds, which sounds like a heavy piece of gear to be lugging around, but for what you can do with that 10-pound package, I think it's definitely manageable. For me, I can easily put this in the trunk of the car or in the foot space of the back seat of my Subaru Crosstrek. Will I take it out on a wilderness canoe trip? Honestly, I'm not sure. I think for some remote locations, and if I was spending an extended time out in the bush, I would definitely consider it. Really, I could probably extend a trip by a few days by carrying this with me. But of course, it would be extra gear to carry along a portage. For any road trip or overlanding trip, this will be a huge plus to take along. Let's have a quick look at this thing and some of the input and output plugs. The EB3A from Bluetti has very flexible charging capabilities and accommodates a wide range of charging needs. The EB3A has enough ports for simultaneous charging, including classic AC and DC output, USB-A and USB-C outlets, car socket, even a wireless charger on top. There's also an LED light on the front of the device with 3 settings: low, high, and an emergency SOS strobe. Of course, using the light will drain the power supply a little faster, but having it there is very useful. So as you can see, there are plenty of output jacks for this type of device, but what about charging time? There are a few different ways to charge the EB3A. You can charge with the provided cable and plug in at home before you head out, or you can use the same cable to plug into a generator if you're at a more remote camp. There's also the provided cables for charging direct from solar panels. This is something that I didn't get to try out and would have really liked to in order to provide a more thorough review, as well as the fourth option for charging, and that's a car charging cable that plugs into your car cigarette lighter port, which I also didn't receive. All up, I can say that charging the device at home with this provided cable, I was able to get a full charge in less than a couple hours. In fact, Bluetti claims that you can get an 80% charge in 30 minutes. And although I didn't time the charge, I'd say that's probably pretty accurate. As for charging my devices, what I can say is for the most part, it worked great. I used it to charge my iPhone using the USB-C cable and also the wireless charger. I charged my MacBook while working on it, and I also charged my GoPro batteries with the USB-A. I did try to charge 2 other Android phones using the wireless charging, but the phones didn't want to connect. I'm not sure if that's a setting in the phone or if there was a connection issue, but for some reason I couldn't get the phones to connect wirelessly. Of course, the USB-A solves that problem, so it's not a big deal. The other issue that I had was charging the device itself through the car or with solar. Bluetti didn't provide me with the car charging cable or solar panels, so I wasn't able to test this feature. For me, this was a bit of a shame because although having a power bank is great, I think the real benefit of this type of device is to be able to charge it while you're out on the road, either through solar power or by using the car and its built-in inverter. So because I didn't use either of these features, I honestly can't even say if they exist, how efficient they are, or if they work as they're meant to. The last point I'd like to say is that I didn't bother trying to use the Bluetti app. For me, remote monitoring isn't necessary because when using the device, it's always within arm's reach, and I can monitor the power supply on the device itself. If I had the solar panels, and maybe if I was charging the device in the car, the app might be useful, but for me, it wasn't needed. So what are my final thoughts? Well, to me, the EB3A is ridiculously portable and, in my opinion, good value. And if you need to support your digital nomad office while you travel, this power station will do what you need without costing too much. As I said at the beginning of this video, inside this box, you get pure Cinewave 240 AC to USB-A, high power USB-C, 12 volt DC, and a charge pad on the top of the device for wireless charging of my iPhone. It works, and it will be something that I make use of while traveling to off-grid locations when I need to power or charge my devices. And that's it. That's my review of the Bluetti EB3A portable power station.